Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a different video, but welcome back to the channel. This isn't the usual review this weekend because we're just going to digest some new news of the Centenary Special. Before I get too much into it, there might be some spoilers in this because we're going to be speculating wildly and we're dissecting some recent interviews that have come out and all that jazz. So if you really don't want to know anything about what's going to happen or what might happen, be warned that we'll be discussing, potential spoilers. There's always a chance that we might theorize something and it comes true and we predicted everything, but then also it could be completely wrong.
Yes.
So fair warning. That starts now because we have the title reveal. Well, hey!
Hooray!
After the internet seemingly complaining for a full year, we finally have it. I don't think it was supposed to be revealed in Doctor Who magazine.
It doesn't feel like it, does it?
No. So the title is The Power of the Doctor, which has in itself caused a stir online, but we'll come on to that in a minute.
Idiots.
There was all sorts of rumors saying that Doctor Who BBC were going to announce it last weekend, but then of course the Queen happened to die, so everything was on pause. And we knew that Doctor Who magazine was coming out this past Thursday, which it did. And even like the first line of their interview is like, now that it's been revealed. So clearly there was the plan to
the very first, like the editor's notes right at the start, it just so casually that talks about the power of the Doctor. I'm like, oh yeah, this wasn't supposed to be where it was revealed.
This isn't, but it's probably gone to print a while before anything happens, so they can't really change it. But yeah, fair enough. It's not what they would have done, but it just means on Tuesday, when everyone can go back to their normal communications and stuff, we might get a trailer and another little reveal graphic and stuff. Maybe they'll do it a bit tongue in cheek, saying, "Did you know?" kind of thing.
Yeah,
I don't know, but
this is enough to tide us over with the title and some photos and
there are some nice new images and such as well this time around. So we'll get onto the title then. Your opinions of the power of the Doctor?
Yes, I'm disappointed it's not dry as Reddit said.
Of course, yeah.
That would have been obviously the preferred choice, but I really like the power of the Doctor. I think it's a good title. I wish more people would wonder if the episode itself is any good compared to the title. They seem to complain about not having it, and now they've got it, they're complaining about what it is. So you just can't win. So just do your own thing, Chibnall, as you do tend to do, and bother the king. But yeah, I really like it. I think, it's a nice mix of stuff that has come before. We've had episodes with power in the title. We've had of the Doctor trilogies and all sorts of stuff. We've had the Doctor dances. We've had all sorts of Doctor-y nonsense. It's called Doctor Who. So yeah, I think it's cool. And, maybe a little throwback to the Power of Three as well, which Chris Chibnall wrote, which I like.
Yep. Finally, a sequel to The Power of Three.
Finally.
What we all wanted.
Where no actor ruins it for
Kate's
everyone.
back. Isn't this Kate's back as well?
True.
Wasn't that her first story, Power of Three?
It was, yes. That was her introduction.
So,
well, it's all coming together.
Can't wait for the
it's almost as if it's Chibnall's last episode and he's bringing back all his.
Who could have guessed? I can't wait for the weird guy to come back, and the weird nurses with the pentagon.
Oh yeah,
yay! Woohoo!
Our favourite villains. But yeah, I think it feels like a very fitting cap off to Chibnall's time on the show and his era as a whole, because his vision for the Doctor seems to be like, she is this super important being in the universe. She does have all this power that was literally drained from her to make the Time Lords what they are now. And also a female Doctor has the power to make sexists go crazy for the past 5 years. So her power in terms of that, I think, is kind of tongue-in-cheek in regards to that as well, because they hate a female Doctor potentially being the most powerful one. So yeah, I really like it, and I'm sure they're gonna delve into that even more in the actual episode. But the Doctor's always had powers because they've been able to regenerate. This literally is the power of the Doctor, to regenerate. So maybe people are going to be reading too much into it. Maybe we're not reading into it enough because we don't know exactly what is going to happen. So yeah, I really like it, and I'm excited to see how it kind of ties into the episode, if it does, and yeah, what it kind of means. But it is exciting to not have to call it the as yet untitled Centenary Special anymore. It's nice to have like a distinct thing, and I think as soon as we got the title, my hype level jumped right back up again, and I was already excited for it even without any information, but now I've got it, I feel like, oh god, we've been spoiled.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I generally, there was a moment where I was like, are they just going to call it Centenary Special? And I was just, I just wish they did, just to leave it at that and just Centenary Special.
They were going to leave it at that, and then like Centenary Special comes up on screen, then it just disappears, so it just says 10, and then David Tennant just walks in. Hello.
No, wait. But you know, we've got the TV movie, which is the title of that.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why it's going to be the same length as a TV movie, pretty much. So there's no reason why it couldn't have been. But of course, you know, having the power of the Doctor is a decent name in itself. It's very reminiscent of the Day of the Doctor, Night of the Doctor, Name of the Doctor, and Time of the Doctor. There you go.
Time.
So, you know, and the fact that people are complaining that this one's a bit naff or whatever, or stinks of unoriginality or whatever it is, forgetting that we literally had a run of 3 episodes and a mini-sode all using something of the Doctor.
We literally had an of the Doctor trilogy, and people are moaning about this.
Yes.
Like they're like, but it's a trilogy, so it all ties in together. I'm like, maybe this ties into something. You haven't seen the episode yet, you idiots.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. Like, how many Doctor Who titles are inventive or fun? Like 2? The 4th Doctor's last story is called Logopolis. Like, what the fuck is a Logopolis? Like, who gives a shit what it's called? If the episode's good, hooray!
Yeah, there is literally an episode called Dalek where it focuses on a Dalek. Yeah. So I think, you know, it's a name.
The End of Time. Generic. What does that mean? The time. Part 1, Part 2. The Time of the Doctor. What time? Like, is it his time? Because his time's up. What does that mean? Like,
Night of the Doctor wasn't even at night. It was just a dark planet.
Exactly. Ridiculous.
Yes. Although, you know, they missed a trick from name this Dawn of the Doctor. You know, we haven't had that yet. That's the next one.
That's coming.
That's the prequel.
That'll be Shooty's first episode.
That's true. Yeah.
2 of the Doctors in a row.
Yeah. Bold of you to assume the Shooty's going to be next. The next Doctor's going to appear. So, how dare you?
I would love it if the 60th specials are all like something off the Doctor, and it's like another off the Doctor trilogy.
They're all of them are continuing to be off the Doctor. I would find that hilarious.
Yeah. They have to end up making up words to put in front of the Doctor. Doctor of the Doctor.
Traffic jam of the Doctor. No, wait. Queue of the Doctor. No. Yeah. But yeah, titles revealed. Again, not in the most like, oh my god, here's the title way, because obviously events have overtaken it. Ironically, if they had put out the name when the big rumor was the weekend before, it would have been fine. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's probably what they were intending to do. But
they held out, and unfortunately, it just poor timing and some unfortunate events means it's not going to be this weekend. It wasn't last weekend, so maybe we'll get something next week. It wouldn't surprise me if to make up for it. But if they put a trailer out with it, which they might have been planning to do anyway. But we've had new images in the magazine. Now let's just hope that we get some more, because I'm intrigued. There's so much we still don't know, but we will discuss some things we do know while we pray for Liam to come back out of Blurry Cam.
I was thinking, like, I'm suddenly very...
There we go. You love it. You love to see it.
Hooray!
We love it. We love a HD King.
I'm very sorry to all the viewers who had to put up with my face that close. No one deserves that.
We could deal with it.
Even I don't look in the mirror that closely. So.
No, nobody does. If you do, you're weird. So, of returning characters that we know of, Tegan and Ace are the big 2 sort of surprise characters that were dropped on us at the end of Legend of the Sea Devils.
My voice has never gone as high as it did when they showed up in that. I was cringing my way through the footage when I rewatched that to edit it. I was like, oh god, my voice. Ace! Tegan!
But yes, they got a couple of not the characters, the actors have interviews in the magazine where they sort of discuss coming back. I didn't realize that the Tegan actress hadn't acted for like 35 years.
Yeah, she's like an agent more so now.
And I was like, okay, let's hope. I'm sure it's fine, but that automatically makes me think, concerned about how that role is going to come across in the episode. But I'm sure she does a great job. We will see. But we've only seen the clip of her talking to the phone, which she talks about in the interview, and she says that she hated doing it because she could see her reflection in it. So
and it's the very first thing she shot as well.
Yes, yeah. So we will see how it goes. I have every faith that she's fine. She said that the director, is it Jamie Magnus Stone?
Yes.
That he was great and really helpful and such, and that Sophie Aldred was also a very wholesome person.
And
by
the last character she played was Tegan, so it's just stepping right back in.
Exactly.
And she's also still playing Tegan for 38 years in audio stuff, so it's not like she doesn't know. It's not like Billie Piper having to rewatch series 2 when she came back because she'd forgotten how to play Rose and stuff. She has been Tegan all this time.
Just she hasn't had to learn lines, which I guess he just turns up to Big Finish and just reads off the script and leaves again by the sound
just
of
read
it.
through it once. Absolute steal.
Fair enough. But yeah, they're both back. They seem to have fairly substantial roles, judging by the interviews at least. I think, they kind of sort of left it up in the air as to what they're doing. They didn't really say they're working for UNIT or whatever, which you kind of get the impression that they are. However, with Ace and her charity is called Ace, I think, isn't it?
A Charitable Earth,
yeah, because she recently wrote the book about Ace and meeting the 13th Doctor, so there's no mention of that in the interview, which I thought even the interviewer might have been like, you recently wrote a book where you met the 13th Doctor. Well, how is that?
They might have talked about it but cut it out with the final.
Because maybe they went, no, it's non-canon, and they didn't want to be like, cut out. Don't want to kill the book sales. Cut that out. Because the book was very good, and I do hope that stays canonized. But who knows? We all know that the TV episodes take priority over the external media, unfortunately.
The Doctor's met Mary Shelley like 5 times, so
it's fine. Let's just pretend it's okay. Well, how are you following those interviews? And sort of, again, it was very vague, very, hey, yeah, it's great to be back. We're great having fun filming. So it's not, loads of stuff. But sort of, how are you feeling about them both returning? Are you excited for their characters? It seems like the actors got a good chunk of say over how their characters sort of progressed, I guess, in the story.
Which is definitely a good sign, I think. And it makes sense, especially for like Tegan, when it's been 40 years since you've seen her. She's obviously going to have matured and aged a lot. And what's particularly exciting for me about Tegan coming back is, spoilers if you haven't seen her last story. She's one of the few people to be like, this has stopped being fun. Too many people have died. I'm off. Like, fuck you. So having that exit when she's like, this isn't fun anymore. How she's kind of coping with that in the past 40 years and now coming back into it again. Is that going to be really talked about or addressed? There may not be time. I think that'd be an interesting thing. And also, we don't know how Ace left the Doctor, so are we going to talk about that? I think they did do like a Big Finish, like final story for her, but again, then they just changed whatever happened. And we have, in like the season 26 trailer a couple of years ago, they did a here's what Ace is doing now, which seems to be
the charity came from.
It was mentioned in the Surgeon Adventures that she had that charity.
Yes. Oh yeah. They expanded.
And then it was that trailer that gave Chibnall the idea, I think, of bringing her into the Centenary, which is cool. So we have seen a bit of what Ace's life is like and stuff, so you can kind of get a good idea of that to prepare for the Centenary. Whereas Tegan, we just haven't seen her. But there's some really exciting things for both of them. Ace is, I think, she's in my top 3 favorite classic companions, along with Jo and Sarah Jane. I really, really liked her when I was surprised at just how much I enjoyed her in the couple of seasons she's around for. So I'm particularly excited to see her come back and see what she's getting up to and seeing if she's still going to call the Doctor the Professor like she used to, because that'd be very wholesome. And yeah, Tegan, I like Tegan as well. She's a very brash personality, so I think they will have probably softened her with age, because I could just imagine how people would have responded to her in present day stuff, because everything that came out of her mouth was an insult at someone, basically, particularly towards the Doctor or Adric, RIP. So I am excited to catch up with them both, and even more so I think now we know it's not just like a fleeting cameo. I like that Sophie Aldred thought that's what it was going to be, and I'm like, no.
I'm
So
sorry.
that's nice. And reading the interviews with them, how excited they are to be back. Like Sophie Aldred said, she like got the call and cried, which is very wholesome. So I'm just kind of excited on behalf of them as well, because I know that probably means a lot to them to be asked back and to, you know, reappear in the show after so many years, and that's going to introduce a whole load of new people to those characters who then they might want to check out some of their older stuff. So that's going to get more people into the classic series as well.
Gets more BritBox subscribers.
Gets more BritBox subscriptions. Yeah, you want to see how they leave? Check them out.
Good synergy.
Yes. So you know, I think that's a really cool way of, you know, maybe bringing people in who haven't watched it for a while. Like, oh, I remember watching Tegan when I was little. I'll see her return, and same with Ace and everything. But also, I think it's fun for new fans to be like, oh wow, this show's gone on for ages. Like, this isn't. What do you mean this is only series 13? Like, what do you mean? It's like series 40 or something, really. But yeah, I'm really, really excited to see how they come back, what their role is going to be. It does seem like it's going to be those two kind of paired up for a lot of it, maybe taking on the Cybermen, which I'm excited for, because they both have bones to pick with the Cybermen, particularly Tegan. So that's exciting, and the Master. So that'll be fun. And from like the pictures and stuff we've got, you know, it's not like Jack came back in Fugitive of the Jadoon and then we had to wait until like the next year before he actually interacted with the Doctor. They are gonna, you know, we know they're getting face-to-face time with Jodie, which is cool. And yeah, I'm just excited to see them, and if any other companions based on rumors and stuff could be popping up, or any other people from the past, there's probably room for them. But the fact that they are having quite meaty roles in this special, I think is quite fun.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Could it potentially be the last time that they appear in the show, judging by what's the Ashad actor said? He refused to rule out killing potentially Tegan or Ace. Do you think that maybe they could meet their demise?
I doubt it. There would be uproar. Also, Chibnall brought them back because they're his two favorite classic
to kill
companions.
them.
I don't think he's going to bring them back to kill them. And if he was going to, I doubt they'd say, "Oh yeah, I'll come back so you can kill me off."
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So I'd be very surprised if that happened. I mean, gutsy if you wanted to do it, but I think the Doctor dying is probably enough for that special. So I'll leave it at that.
So you don't think there'll be any other deaths other than 13?
I mean, they'll probably do a fake out Master death again. Yaz might go, Dan might go, Vinda might go. Who can say? There might be more deaths, but I don't think it'll be Tegan or Ace.
Fair enough. Interesting point. Kate Stewart, maybe?
Kate, maybe she could
been
go
around for a while. It was Chibnall's character. He might be like, right, I'm leaving. She's going as well.
Yeah, I'm taking her with me.
Yeah. You never know. So also returning is Sacha Dhawan's Master. How do we feel he's going to play? He's speaking in his interview about being a master of disguise. We've seen him sort of different pictures of him throughout this episode, heavily bearded, not
he's like a
too heavily bearded,
kind of
also
disguise,
plain. Yeah. So how do we think this is going to play? What do we think his where is he coming from? I guess is the point. Is he, or is this going to be a master from before he discovers all this? Is it going to be both?
I mean, I know a lot of people are like, well, he's shaven, so it's probably going to be before he finds out anything. But also, he was filming The Great at the same time, and he was shaven for that part, so that's probably why he needed to be clean shaven. He can't just, you know, let's not just put fake hair on him for the sake of it. So maybe it's just more so a reason for that. I know when the trailer first dropped, he was like, "This is the day you die." People are like, "Oh, he's still good here, and he's warning her." I'm like, but we just had the warning, like. The forces are massing against you and their master. So I think he's going to probably be a villain here, as is often the case. And we've already done the good master. Just make them evil again. Who cares?
A lot of people care, apparently.
Get over it. Severe incarnation. The master is never going to stay dead and all good forever. Like, it's one of those things. Maybe if it was the final season of the show, but it wasn't. So we move on. But yeah, even then, Missy might be the last incarnation because we don't know where Sasha fits in. So maybe that is their ending. Who can say? But yeah, I'm intrigued to see what his role is going to be. It does seem like they're going to do something a bit different. He talked about like, people haven't seen everything from this incarnation yet. It's like kind of reinvent him a bit. I like the idea of him like disguising himself a bit and just causing a bit of chaos. and there's certainly room for him to do that if it's like an hour and a half. Exactly what his bold plan is. I mean, we know the Cyber Masters are back as well, so he's gonna have them in tow with a fresh lick of black paint and a cool new design.
Yay!
Best boys. I really like them. I think they're really cool.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yes, Halloween is sorted. But yeah, I love his incarnation. I think he's fantastic. So the fact that we're going to be seeing him again for the last time, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't blame them for giving the Master maybe a bit of a rest after this, because we have had a lot of Master in the past 10 years or so. We've even had 2 in one story. So, you know, I think sometimes it's good to give characters like that a bit of a break. But I'm also more than happy to have Sasha play the Master for years and years to come. You know, Anthony Ainley was the Master against like 4 or 5 different Doctors. So, you know, I don't think they should always just they stick to one incarnation. So I'd be happy with that. But either way, I'm glad we are seeing him again, if this is a way of like rounding up his Master in this incarnation for his era. And yeah, I look forward to seeing why he's got a beard, why he hasn't got a beard simultaneously, all his different new outfits, and exactly what his grand scheme's going to be here. You know, that we've had this big warning about it. It's probably going to kill the Doctor in some way, shape, or form. Some people are speculating that he's going to like steal her timeless childness in a way, and that kills her, or anything like that, stealing her memories for himself, rewriting her memories for himself. Who can say? But I am excited to find out.
Yeah, and sort of obviously Ashad is returning as well, the lone Cyberman.
Yeah, this was my biggest surprise, I think, and like people that you bring back into it.
It very much feels like they're not connected, the Master and Ashad. From the interviews that the actor gives, it sounds like Ashad's come back on his own terms, like he's unminiaturized himself or something, and maybe the explosion in Gallifrey did something to the thing and it reversed whatever. And it sounds like he's got a bone to pick. So do you think that we're going to see a bit of a Cyberman civil war? Do you think Ashad's maybe teamed up with the Daleks to try and take out the Cyber Masters and the Master? Because the Daleks are in there. They've not really been mentioned too much. They might not have a big role at all, but you know, we've seen those kind of alliances before.
That would be interesting, because we know full well that Ace and Tegan are dealing with the Cybermen in particular, and I think we've seen like Sacha Dhawan's Master in those sets and everything as well. And Ashad is also has a picture there. And in the initial Centenary trailer, we saw Ace beating a Dalek with a baseball bat, like in Remembrance of the Daleks. So the Daleks are coming into play wherever those guys are as well. So there could be an alliance there of some way, shape, or form. So I think that'd be interesting. You know, Chibnall's done a Dalek Civil War a few years ago, so maybe he wants to do a Cyberman one as he leaves. I think that would be an interesting kind of idea to do it that way. But yeah, I really don't know where he's going to fit in, because his story did feel like, well, they kind of killed him. That's that. Cool. Yeah. You know, it was a bit like, oh, that's a shame that they got rid of him. So I do like that they brought him back into it. Yeah. Maybe that was as a response to like the fan response to that is why he's back in the first place. That might have been envisioned to just be it for him. But yeah, exactly like how he's back, why, what's he up to? He kind of mentions in the interview like the Master Point doesn't even spare a thought to him, but now he thinks as the Master like his great enemy. So maybe he's going to come in last minute and actually like thwart the Master's plan or something. Because it's like, oh, you've played yourself, Master. It's taken you 2 years for it to come back and bite you, but that'd be interesting. I really don't know where he's going to fit in, but I am excited to see more of him, because I do think he was a standout in Series 12.
I mean, definitely. I say I've just recently rewatched the Series 12 sort of final 3-parter, I guess, if you count, you know, his first appearance to the Timeless Child. And he's by far, you know, one of the best bits of those 3 episodes, and it is very much he's gone. Okay, all right, see you later then, buddy. And if he can be unminiaturized, that potentially means somebody else could be unminiaturized
if they get got. Tegan's aunt. After all these years.
One of the pictures in the magazine does appear to show it's the clean-shaven Master, isn't it, holding a tiny little figure that looks to be Yaz, as they're dressed in the same clothes that Yaz is dressed in another picture. So the Master could have miniaturized Yaz. We don't really know if miniaturized means death, if it can be undone. The implication is always they're dead. But
yeah, in the classic series, it kills them. But maybe he's updated it since then. You know,
exactly.
I mean, what's I think my theory is going to be, I don't think it's true, but it'd be funny. Yaz has been the master all along, because when he killed O and like miniaturized him, he took his place and like took his form and everything. Maybe he just killed Yaz ages ago. It's like, I've been Yaz all this time. Can you imagine if they did that all this time?
Well,
like, I've been in love with you all these years, so I've made you fall in love with me as Yaz.
Oh, could you imagine? People would be fuming.
I mean, rightfully fuming. But...
Yeah, I think there'll be. Part of me thinks there might be an element of that. There might be an element of Yaz working with the master type thing.
There are so many companions to juggle in this story. I think one of them's gonna need to maybe be taken out of the fold for a bit of it. So I wouldn't be surprised. Dan's got his own thing going on, maybe with Vinda or whatever. But I think maybe Yaz is going to be miniaturized for like half of it or something.
Yeah, I think so, because there's again in the teaser there's the scene where the Doctor and Yaz are sort of stood being talked at by the Master. They seem to be in prison. That's when people think maybe the Master's good. That could also be when it's revealed that Yaz was working with the Master all along. The cliche of I was sent here to kill you or whatever, and I fell in love with you, which is a cliche, but
yeah, and I pretended to be a policewoman, in Sheffield for years and years to prepare for this, and just so happened to stumble upon you as you fell into a train.
Exactly. But it could have been that wasn't the plan, and that she maybe the Master got her at some point along that road. Who knows? There's plenty to digest in that. And then also another thing that Sasha mentioned is the Moriarty Sherlock comparison, where they have their Reichenbach Falls moment. Now, if you're aware of the story, whether that's through Sherlock the show or the books, that's when they jump off a cliff together and die.
One of them certainly dies.
Yeah. Do you think there was mentioned that maybe the Doctor will drown, and if they're jumping off a cliff near a waterfall, it could all they've been filming in a quarry. You never know. It could all lead to that. It
rains a lot in Cardiff.
Yeah.
There's plenty of water around.
That's true. But do you think that, I guess, first of all, is the Doctor jumping off a cliff a good enough way to regenerate, if that makes sense?
Worked for Tom Baker.
I mean, yeah, they've fallen off buildings before, but they've also fallen off buildings before and survived. So
yeah,
it's a bit of a mixed bag. I don't think that'll be what happens. I think maybe something like that will happen, and to do something, and maybe the Doctor will survive, and the Master will be presumed dead. You don't see the body type thing.
Yeah, probably.
But then maybe the Doctor does a David Tennant thing where she's in the process of regenerating.
Well, I think she's going to, yeah.
Well, yeah. But she's in the process of regenerating, and she does other stuff, sort of thing. Whatever that might be.
Maybe if the David Tennant rumors, like what's going to happen with that, maybe whatever happens that makes her degenerate in a way, maybe that's what stops her from just dying altogether, and it goes from there. Maybe.
Yeah. This is the thing. We know literally nothing, and these are all coming off of the potential pictures that
we've got loads of pictures. We've had interviews with like 4 people now, and we're still like, I don't know.
You've got absolutely no idea what's going on still. So one person that has been missing from promotional material recently, and I think the Doctor Who magazine are doing a further set of interviews before the air date. So
when they said like, oh, we're doing coverage of the Centenary Special, and they announced like who they're interviewing, it's like a bit weird to not have at least Jodie and Mandip. So I'm hoping that's what the interview they talked about.
The three
coverage will continue. I'm hoping it's those 3 at least.
If they have 4 next, maybe that's Jodie, Mandip, John Bishop, and matey boy that plays Vinda. I've forgotten his name.
Samuel Anderson.
That's it.
Bradley Walsh.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe. But yes, so the person that has been absent so far from these promotional materials is Dan, John Bishop's Dan. We have seen a picture of him in the orange space suit, which Jodie also wears at some point, judging by promotional material.
Oh my God!
What do we think he's? It could be. What do we think he's doing? Do you reckon he's going to save Vinda? But why is Vinda being? Maybe he's chasing down the side. How does Vinda fit into this, and how does Dan?
Well, they could be. That's because who is it? The actress who plays Ace, Sophie Aldred. She kind of mentioned like she worked with Vinda in the special because Samuel like pulled her aside and said, "Oh, I really like the story that you and Sylvester were doing." So maybe he ties into the Sidemen element of it. And I mean, we saw Belle, with the Sidemen and stuff in Flux, so maybe they have a grudge against her, so that Sidemen are hunting her down or whatever. For like destroying one of their units, and then he's kind of getting involved. I mean, we don't know for sure if Belle and Carvany are still going to be in this. All we know for sure is that Vinda's in it. I'd be surprised if we don't maybe see them.
I think
but
there'll definitely be a reference of, how's it getting on with you guys? And they'll be like,
I mean,
blah, blah, blah.
yeah, Belle's pregnant, so you could easily just be like,
potentially with child. They could do like an end
like
towards the end.
and,
They drop Vinda off, and they're there maybe as a small cameo.
Yeah.
But
it's just like Carvanista.
Yeah. Wait a minute. But yeah, I think I don't know. It's strange because I really hope John Bishop has a large role in this, but at the same time, I do get why the focus would be on Jodie and Mandip, because they're the two that have been there throughout the whole time. They're the one that has the stronger relationship, and I think unfortunately that might be a side effect of John. John Bishop might be a side effect of just. You might just have to go and do something else separately.
Yeah, because we know he rapped on the show 2 weeks before Jodie and Mandip did. And obviously they film things out of order, so that might not mean anything. He might still have like a meaty role, or maybe he just needed to just be on his own for COVID reasons or whatever. And that kind of has to affect what went down. Who can say? Maybe he just needs to get ready for his tour.
That's true.
I can't have a big role. But we've also seen him on set with a certain other former companion. So he's got bits outside of the spaceship stuff at some point.
Unless Bradley Walsh is in the spaceship as well.
Oh my god. I think the rumor is like Graham's kind of like he gets them all in contact with Tegan and Ace, because like all the former companions have kind of found each other and like have a little like Facebook chat or something.
Awesome.
And I think
a WhatsApp group.
Yeah, so I think like maybe his little cameo is going to be like leading Dan to them, and it goes from there.
Awesome.
But we haven't seen Dan in the same scenes as those two yet, so that could be entirely wrong.
And it could be unlikely, but it could be that the Bradley Walsh thing's a complete coincidence. Unlikely, but you never know.
He was just stood in front of cameras as they were rolling next to John Bishop by coincidence.
They figured they might as well just get some footage of him there while they can, just as he's passing through.
For sure,
But yeah, because he's not officially been confirmed as returning. It could be that it's just a fleeting cameo of calling the Doctor back to Earth that we've seen before.
It is,
which hopefully. Well, I don't think Ryan's going to be returning. That might be another situation. But, how's Ryan doing? Oh yeah, he's great. He's off.
I think if anything, maybe like a voice role on my phone or something.
Yeah, maybe
quickly record, because he's filming another show. So
yeah,
or maybe like a YouTube video. Maybe it pops up. He does another YouTube. He could film something quickly over Skype or something. So either way, at the very least, we'll get a mention of him, I'm sure.
Yes. So yeah, Dan could potentially be in space, left there by the Doctor as the Doctor goes back to visit Graham with Yaz. Maybe that's where they start with leaving Dan. That's like who knows. It's what 89 minutes, isn't it? Isn't that what the Blu-ray said? Something like that.
It's an hour and a half,
it's still a chunky amount of time to fill.
Yeah, I'd be more worried about everything that's going on if it were not a 90-minute special. I think there's still time for lots of stuff.
I think so. So we sort of touched on it. How do you think Jodie is going to regenerate/die? Is it going to be drowning? Is it going to be looking into the memories of the fob watch? Is it going to be, I don't know, Kate Stewart killing her? Yaz killing her?
She trips on a brick.
Yeah, maybe.
I have no idea. I think the most logical one for me is like a conclusion to a story, and where the last couple of years have been heading is like she opens the watch and it overloads her with memories and kills her and makes her David Tennant, whatever. I think that one, story-wise and thematically, I think that makes a lot of sense if that's how it goes out. But I'd also like to be surprised at how the Doctor goes. We've had a lot of old ages or poisoned by radiation and whatever. So
we've had we had 3 radiation poisonings, haven't we?
We've had so many.
I knew who Eccleston, Tennant, and Capaldi all died of like radiation poisoning, wasn't it? Something like that.
Kind of, yeah. I think
Or
so.
did Capaldi die of like explosion?
I think, well, Capaldi was already regenerating in that last in the Doctor Falls one. I think it was like the Cyberman grabbing him and electrocuting him. I think was what probably sealed the deal. From what I recall.
Well, it won't be that one then.
I mean, it could be.
all of them, all of them at once.
Everything
gets electrocuted gets electrocuted by the Cyberman in a poisoned chamber.
Yeah, she opens the watch, and every single way an incarnation of hers has been killed happens to her at once, and she explodes. And David Tennant hatches out of an egg. He's like, hello,
he's out of the moon.
I am reborn. Yeah, David Tennant's inside the moon. Not as he's not Tennant yet. He's just David Tennant.
Yeah.
He's playing about 6 different parts in these specials.
Yes.
It's
the only one they can get back.
I think opening the watch and whatever happens and overloads and kills or whatever makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I would also like to be surprised. But I also understand how many ways can you really kill the Doctor at this point, and it hasn't already been done. You know, there's not really much you can do differently to make it epic and like sad, grandiose, and everything. You know, you kind of need to do something grand, and I think that kind of limits you a bit. You don't want to kind of go out with a whimper, really, do you? So who can say? I don't know. My money would be on the watch, but it could easily be something else entirely, because again, we know nothing of what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The last thing to sort of discuss is the potential premiere date of this.
Yes,
hasn't been confirmed yet, but we know that Doctor Who magazine are doing some more interviews, and that issue comes out on the 13th. So that implies that it will be after the 13th.
Yeah.
But we know it's in October, so that's either the 16th or the 23rd if they're keeping the Sunday slot.
Yeah. If it's the 16th, that's a month today.
Oh, it's a month today.
How exciting.
First of all, do you think they're going to keep it on a Sunday for the big one? Do you think they'll keep it? Because we've just assumed it will be on the weekend on the Sunday. It could be that it's on the Friday night. It could be a Saturday night.
Yeah. The fact that it's like an official like centenary week, they might change it for that kind of schedule.
A Wednesday evening, could you imagine?
It used to be on Wednesdays, so
yeah, there you go. Everything Wednesday's the day for Disney Plus, so
that's true. Peter Davison's era, I think, aired on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So, I don't know. My gut would say it would probably stay on Sundays just for this whole era. Sunday night is like the drama night now.
Yeah.
For TV in general, really, particularly BBC. So I would be surprised if they moved it, but you know, if it's going to be on during the weekend at some point, I would imagine. Either Saturday or Sunday. You know, there's rumors that it's going back to Saturdays, so maybe they're going to do it and put it on a Saturday as like a transition into that period. But then again, you know, depends when the 50th anniversary date is going to be. That's going to be probably during the week anyway, so does it even matter? No.
Yeah.
Because the new era is not going to really start on Saturdays necessarily. So I don't know. I would say it's probably going to be on either the 16th or 23rd, like whatever Sunday they choose to do. Yeah. They start or end the celebration week on Doctor Who. I imagine they would end it on it. But who can say? They might, especially with that magazine coming out, and it's probably going to air after that. It would only be 3 days before it airs if they were going to release it then. So I would imagine they'd want it to be out a bit longer before it airs, because then it's like, what's the point of doing a preview of something that comes out in 3 days? So maybe I think if I had to bet money on it, if I was a betting man, I'd probably say the 23rd of October would be.
Yeah, and that's almost 59 years as well since it started. Almost a month out, but pretty close with the 23rd. Well, I mean, we'll see. We might get the answer to that in the week when they say is the title. They might give the air date then as well.
What shall I play now?
Oh, wait a minute, hang on. But who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. I think we will leave it there for now for today. You know, like I said, there was quite a few good bits in the interviews, so by all means, if you can get Doctor Who magazine, go and support magazines. Go and buy it.
You can't have previews to moan about if you don't buy the magazines.
Exactly. Don't just look at the screenshots and everything on Twitter. Go out and buy the magazine. You can buy it physically, you can buy it digitally. I would say from your local newsagents, but as Liam will attest to, probably not. So if you're in the UK, I went to WH Smith. That was pretty easy to find. If you're in America, I don't even know if they publish it in America. So it might be digital only.
So enjoy.
Try and find out. Have a look. But yeah, that's it for this week. If anything does drop next week, after the funeral of the Queen. We will have a little gander at that and see if it's worth sort of dropping back in for. If not, then we will be back to our normal Doctor Who reviews with Series 6 and the Impossible Astronaut. Cool. I think that's it. We will leave it there. Bye.
Bye.